Hey, Sycamore View, happy Tuesday morning to you. It is the month of May. I hope you're able to get outside a little bit, just enjoy the sunshine this week. It's nice, it's warm. There's a verse in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 13, and it says this, so that you may not grieve as others do. Some of your versions say that we may not grieve as those who don't have hope. And this is coming from the Apostle Paul, a guy who knew all about grief, a lot about different emotions. I mean, Paul, all over his body, had wounds and scars from experiences and how hard ministry had been at times, and his life had been on the line. So he knew all about grief. Now, there's this, in grief, there's this idea of reframing. If you've ever been to Sycamore View and you look up on the walls, right there up on the stage, there are these two crosses, and some of you may not even know why they are there. My very first sermon series I preached at Sycamore View back in 2008 was a series called Reframed. It was this idea from the Gospel of Luke, and I spent 8 or 9 months in the Gospel of Luke and just walked people through that book. And the whole idea was that a frame, it holds the stories of our lives, and our stories come together with the cross. So we asked people to donate frames. I think originally we told them we would give them back after we were finished with the sermon series, but people loved the frames and the crosses up there so much that people were like, we don't ever want it to come down. So they've been up there since 2008, and the whole idea is that the frame holds the stories of our lives, and the stories of our lives all come together at the cross. That's where all of us come together. We are a part, our stories come together as part of the bigger story of God. It's God's story. So really cool idea. And it's a counseling technique called reframing. Now, I'm a 7 on the Enneagram, which may not mean much to any of you, but any of you who have worked with the Enneagram at all, we are the best at reframing. We can reframe almost anything and try to spin it into a positive light. And 7s, we mask pain. We sweep pain under the rug. We don't want to deal with pain. We want to move on. So this is why we often reframe things. We want things to be the glass half full. So any form of pain, we try to transform it into a positive light. And there have been a couple events in my life I have not been able to reframe. And right now, I wish I could sit here in front of you and talk about, hey, just hold on, the glass half full, this is gonna be over soon, and I can't. So as bad as I want to, it doesn't work that way. My mom and I are working on a book right now, so in some of my free time, which there isn't much these days, but I write, it's therapeutic for me. And my mom and I are writing this chapter right now on grief. And one thing we argue is that some people right now, they can't wait so we get back together and we can celebrate, and others are saying that as soon as we get back together as a church, we need to lament. And I don't think it has to be either one. It doesn't have to be that you have to go all in celebration, we're back together, or all in lament. The beauty of grief, the beauty of the journey of life, is that through God, it can hold all of these emotions together, right? There's this dance that joy and sadness can do at the same time. It's part of what makes the church so beautiful. So I know if you grew up reading the King James Version in 1 Thessalonians, what some people were taught, what my mom was taught was this, that it says grieve not, don't grieve. Hey, if you have Jesus and you know Jesus, do not grieve. But I think the correct reading of 1 Thessalonians 5:13 or 4:13 is that Paul is saying, hey, grieve away. Acknowledge your sadness, acknowledge your loss, but just know that as people of God, we are those who are called, that when we grieve and when there is sadness, we allow it to be wrapped in hope, knowing that there is a day on its way when all things will be made right. There's a day on its way when God's going to come, and God is working, and God is moving, and God's going to make things right. So hey, right now, it's okay to grieve. It's okay to feel whatever emotion you feel. We can take it to God in prayer, and the heavens rejoice and the heavens receive it. And maybe, just maybe, our hearts will come closer in contact with the heart of God through it.